How many years ago?
There was no school.
Yes. I think my mom invented school.
Why would she do that?
Kids wrote on stone.
It always snowed. You had to walk a lot.
And no one ever had any shoes.
Kids, you gotta love them.
St. Patrick High School, founded 1861. The St. Patrick tradition started with these young men. What lies ahead is up to us.
I graduated right in this church. It was the very last class to graduate in this old building.
The year was 1952. Chicagoans were enduring another painful Cub season. Richard J. Daley had not yet been elected mayor, and Lowell Stahl was preparing to graduate from St. Patrick Academy, as it was then known.
I think the tuition in those days was $100 a year. And $100 to my mother and I was a number that we had never seen before. And Brother Leo said, we'll take care of that. If you play basketball and you're a good student, don't worry about that. My years at St. Pat's helped me get very close to the Christian Brothers from the standpoint of understanding what they were doing to help educate young men, especially young men that didn't have the wherewithal financially to get a private education.
The 1960s was a period of unprecedented cultural change in America and Chicago. Tom Davies entered St. Patrick as the decade opened.
Back in those days, St. Pat's had three curriculums. They had a science curriculum, you had a business curriculum, and you had a shop curriculum. And again, it was part of what the great job that St. Pat's did, was playing, getting us ready for what we were going to face in life when we left there. We're right here on Shamrock Victory Field. Where this name came about was out of a relationship with a classmate named Richard Clare.
In the spring of 1987, Tom Davies learned through a former classmate that his old friend Richard Clare had lost his life in Vietnam 2 decades earlier. He had attended both grammar school and St. Patrick with Richard, and the two were close friends. But, as is so often the case, time has a way of distancing us from the friends of our youth.
Learning that this flesh and blood person that you had spent so much time with and it was at your elbow at lunch had passed from our midst without any of us being aware of it. It was like a spear being thrust right through your heart.
Tom donated funds and renamed the grounds Shamrock Victory Memorial Field to honor not only his friend, but also the brave men and women who have given their lives in all of America's past conflicts. The 1970s was a decade of turmoil, from Watergate to hostages in Iran, from huge gas lines to huge outbreaks. In 1975, Bob Klein walked onto the campus of St. Patrick for the first time as a student, but he was walking on familiar ground.
Because my mom was a teacher, I actually went to St. Pat's activities prior to becoming a student there, and so it was just kind of a foregone conclusion that I assumed I was always going to St. Pat's. The faculty at St. Pat's, I thought, was exceptional. That to me was one of the primary reasons for going to a small Catholic private school. I tell everybody that knows me, they all know that I went to St. Pat's.
The late 1980s. It was an incredible time both in Chicago and the world at large. The Berlin Wall came crashing down. America won the Cold War. And St. Patrick celebrated its 125th birthday. Steve Nalepa was an incoming freshman in 1986.
It costs a little bit more to go to a private school, but that education really prepares you for college.
As a musician, he has performed in front of thousands at the Coachella Music Festival in California. And as an educator, he teaches principles of music at Chapman University.
The leadership at the top of that school, with, starting with the Schmitz and Brother Conrad and all those guys, they were good people, and you could feel that they were coming from the right place.
In the fall of 2006, Steve made his television debut on a game show.
Welcome, Steve Nalepa.
So I was on the show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And what happens on that show is as soon as you get the fifth question right, once you hit that, you get $25,000. As soon as I nailed that, I'm like, all right, I'm going for it.
Steve, you are the first person with enough brains and guts to go for the $1 million question.
He went for it. While the outcome wasn't what he had hoped, He got more out of it than he could have imagined.
You know, all right, I lost $475,000. You build a lot of character losing $475,000.
Character that was forged years before in the hallways and classrooms of St. Patrick.
The one thing that I really liked about St. Pat's is it gave me a very solid, like, underlying sense of being a good person, you know, like a moral foundation.
As St. Patrick entered the 21st century, it embarked on an unprecedented expansion and renovation of its facilities. Its Vision 2000 campaign greatly expanded its fine arts programs and paved the way for new students to discover and expand hidden talents.
And I looked at other schools' music programs, and they just weren't the same as St. Pat's. It was the main reason why I came to St. Patrick High School.
Austin arrived at St. Pat's in the fall of 2004.
And when I was a freshman, a lot of the older guys, they help you out and stuff with everything. You may think I'm just joking around, but because you don't see that a lot, but there's just a great deal of respect for everyone.
Generations of students have walked the halls of St. Patrick High School. The times have changed, and St. Pat's has changed along with them. But certain things remain constant: the feeling of respect, the bond of brotherhood, and the belief that St. Patrick is more than a high school.
The school has done so much for me that I feel that I have to give back to it.
St. Pat's taught me how to have discipline and to think, maybe put everybody else ahead of myself.
St. Pat's always treated us with dignity. We were treated as men, as adults, and I think it naturally evolved or somehow transmitted to us that we would treat others with the same dignity and respect as we went through life.
The Christian Brothers are a lot more than just educators. They are leaders of men, they're creators of men.
All of these fine men have something very special in common. They are bound by a tradition that transcends a typical high school experience. Inside these walls rests a history of excellence in all aspects of life. Generations to come are counting on us to continue providing a salient quality education. We are compelled to do so because we have never before needed so much from future generations.
I'll get the education I deserve.
Inspiring.
My teacher will be appreciated.
I'll realize my full potential. I'll rock calculus.
I can't even say calculus.
It's up to you.
Now make it happen.
I didn't get all dressed up for nothing.